Hi, everybody. So this is the reading of Ink on His Fingers by Louise A. Vernon. And we are going to start reading Chapter 1. The Mysterious Bundle. Shouts outside the church disturbed the final prayer of a Holy Day service in Mainz, Germany. 12-year-old Hans Dunn hurried out ahead of the others. At the bottom of the broad stone steps, he discovered a lumpy bundle of coarse brown cloth with the four corners knotted on top. A boy he had never seen before was running down the deserted street until disappeared around a turn of the river road. Hans dragged the bundle to one side. As he did so, he heard a shout. "There he is! Stop, thief!" Startled, Hans glanced up. Two men in leather work aprons darted from the arcade of a nearby building and ran over the rough cobblestones toward him. "Stop, thief! Stay where you are!" The men's clenched fists and angry red faces shocked Hans into frightened dismay. These men had mistaken him for a thief. Should he stand his ground and explain, or dash back into the shelter of the church? What if the men beat him in front of the churchgoers? What would his widowed mother and his two sisters think, especially 11-year-old Marguerite? She would tease him forever. Hans hesitated, unable to make up his mind. Before he could reach a decision, the two men grabbed him. "You're coming with us." "But I didn't do anything." The men ignored his protest, marched him back to a big house near the market square, and pushed him through a side entrance into a ground floor shop. "We'll see what Bertolf says about this." One of the men knocked on an inner door. A sturdy workman with cap tilted low over his good-humored face peered out. "Did you catch him, Lorenz?" "Yes, Bertolf. There he is." Lorenz, small and wiry, folded his arms with an air of triumph. Bertolf wiped ink-stained hands on his apron and came into the shop room. "But this is only a boy," he exclaimed. What would he know about printing or typesetting?" "What difference does that make?" Lorenz replied. "We caught him with the bundle. Let's see if all the types are there." Bertolf scanned the counter and floor. "Well, where's the bundle?" Lorenz's eyebrows shot upward as if on a string. "The bundle?" he gasped. "I guess we forgot it." "Forgot it?" Bertolf gazed at Lorenz with a shocked expression. "The boy didn't have the bundle on him," Lorenz explained. "It was lying on the church steps." "Then go get it. Hurry, before Master comes in." Lorenz returned breathless. "It's gone. But it was there, I swear it." Bertolf grunted and showed Hans a stool by the counter. "Sit down." Hans struggled, but Bertolf's short, muscular arms held him like a vice. "You stay right here. Master will decide what to do with you." As if he didn't have enough troubles plaguing him. "Now look at all the time you've made us waste just to catch a thief like you." "But I'm not." Bertolf's strong fingers squeezed his shoulders and Hans subsided. His thoughts raced. Would Mother worry when she found him gone after church? No. He often went on ahead to check on an old Herr Mueller's strange house guarded by watchdogs. Why hadn't he run when he had the chance? He would be home by this time. What if these men called the constable and had him put in a dungeon? Years later, someone would find his bones and shreds of clothing. Hans lost himself in the imaginary scene. Maybe his jailers would be kind and give him paper, no parchment, and ink, and he could fulfill his secret ambition to copy the Bible. There, on the dungeon floor beside his bones, people would find a beautiful illuminated Bible, just like Brother John's copy in the scriptorium at the monastery. But in the meantime, what was going to happen to him? Did he dare lunge past the men to the freedom of the street? If he could reach the bridge without his pursuer seeing, he could hide under the arch, his favorite hiding place. "Can I tell my mother where I am?" he asked. She'll worry. She ought to, having a little thief like you for a son. But I'm not a thief, I heard the shouts in the church. When I came out, I saw this bundle, and I moved it so no one would trip on it. Maybe the boy is telling the truth, Bertolf said. Maybe he has an accomplice, Lorenz retorted. The new man didn't show up today. The one Herr Faust insisted Master hire. I never did trust Herr Faust. He's up to something. I told Master so, but you know how he is, always trusts everyone. Herr Faust promised secrecy just like the rest of us, didn't he? Bertolf asked. Yes, but you must remember, I've been with the Master many more years than you. What people promise and what they do are two different things. A slender, quick-moving man with a fur-lined cap and long, parted beard hurried into the shop. His thoughtful yet brisk, intense manner impressed Hans. This man knew what he wanted. Why aren't you in the workshop? He asked the men. We have no time to lose if we're going to keep up our quota. He glanced at Hans. Who's this, Lorenz? It's a young thief we picked up, Master. A thief? This boy? What did he steal? Wasn't the workshop locked? All we know is that a boy ran out of the shop this morning with a bundle under his arms. We figured he was stealing some types, so we chased him. He threw the bundle down on the church steps and he disappeared. We hid, thinking he'd come back, and sure enough, he did. We caught him. Here he is. Where are the types? The Master asked. Lorenz flushed and hung his head. Well, the bundle was gone. Lorenz, whatever shall I do with you? The Master chided. Now all of you get back to work. If we cast less than 4,000 letters today, we'll hear about it from Herr Faust. I'll question the boy myself. As the workmen turned toward the inner room, Hans saw his chance, sprang toward the door and out into the street. Shouts behind him spurred on. Near the monastery, he glanced over his shoulder, no one in sight. At the bridge, he straddled the stone rail, hung by his hands from a jutting rock, and gained the momentum he needed to swing himself down to his favorite hiding place. As he let go, he heard a yell from under his feet. Hans dangled one hand and tried to claw his way up. His fingers slipped off the protruding stone knob, and he dropped on top of a wriggling boy. He grabbed the other boy's wrist. To his surprise, the boy lay limp. Let me go. I'm not a thief. The unexpected words and echo of his own thoughts astonished Hans. He jumped up so fast he cracked his head on the stone arch of the bridge. Who are you? What are you doing? How do I know you're not a thief? At each question, Hans rubbed his head. The boy sat up, brushed at his rumpled clothes, and straightened out his battered cap. I'm not a thief because I didn't steal anything, he retorted with spirit. What's your name? Ulrich Zell. What's yours? Hans Dunn. Why are you hiding here? Because some men chased me. Why are you here? For the same reasons, Hans admitted. But this is my own special hiding place. Why do you need one? Ulrich asked. Do people chase you every day? Hans explained. The boys who worked in the fields teased him on his way home from the monastery Latin school whenever they could catch him. But why? Because I'm not a nobleman's son, Hans said. They think I'm no better than they are, and that I ought to work in the fields with them instead of copying prayer books. Ulrich's interest almost made him forget his wild race from the shop. Why were those men chasing you? They thought I was a thief, Ulrich said. I was looking for my uncle. He said he could get me an apprenticeship. He works for a goldsmith here in Mainz. A goldsmith? Hans interrupted. My father was a goldsmith. He's dead now. But go on. What happened? I walked from Frankfurt early this morning with my bundle of clothes, since I've been living with my uncle, and went to the shop where my uncle was supposed to be. Even on a holy day? Hans exclaimed, shocked. Yes. Anyway, a tall, stout man was there, and I told him who I was. He let me look in the inner room to see if my uncle was there. I didn't see him. All of a sudden, those workmen started shouting thief and chased me. Believe me, I ran. Then, was that your bundle I found on the church steps? Hans asked. Yes, everything I own was in it. It was heavy. I had some books in it too, so I threw it down on the church steps. I thought if the men looked at it and they saw there was nothing in it except my belongings, they would leave it there and I could pick it up later. It's gone. Gone? How do you know? Hans explained how Lawrence, the master's servant, had run out to get it, but found nothing on the church steps. Ulrich groaned. But it had my own very copy of my missal. You mean you copied it yourself? Hans looked at Ulrich with new interest. Here was someone else who liked to copy books. Then you've gone to Latin school, of course, in Frankfurt. I'm going to copy the Bible someday, Hans blurted, then choked. What had made him confide in his secret dream to a stranger? Ulrich nodded as if Hans' ambition was quite ordinary. I've thought about that too. Light footsteps pattered onto the bridge. Hans, a girl called. Hans recognized the sister's voice. It's my sister, Marguerite, he whispered to Ulrich. Don't say anything. She doesn't know about this hiding place. Hans, come up here. I have something to tell you. Both boys remained silent. I know where you are, Marguerite called. Exasperated, Hans waited, hoping his sister would leave. The next thing he knew, Marguerite had swung down from his very own handhold and dropped beside the two boys. You thought you had a secret, didn't you? Marguerite taunted, straightening her full dark skirt. I've known about this place for a long time. She peered at Ulrich in the shadows. Who's your friend? His name is Ulrich Zell. But you get out of here, Marguerite. This is boys' property. You don't belong. Girls aren't supposed to swing by their hands and spy on people. Go on home and don't you dare tell anyone about this place. Marguerite tucked a strand of her hair under her tight cap and laughed. All right, I'll go home, but you won't get to see what they're doing at Herr Mueller's house. What is who doing? Hans tried to suppress his excitement at the mention of Herr Mueller, their neighbor whose strange behavior had long been a mystery to the neighborhood. His 3-story house with peaked red roof, crisscross black beams, and leaded dormer windows looked like other big houses in Mainz. But why had Herr Mueller barred the ground floor casements with iron pipes thick as a man's fingers? What did he do inside his house? Come on and see for yourselves, both of you, Marguerite urged. All right, but there'd better be something more going on than those old watchdogs barking. Hans and Ulrich helped Marguerite up the side of the bridge, and the three hurried to Herr Mueller's house. The chimney of the mystery house belched black mushrooms of smoke. A cluster of people had gathered at a safe distance to watch. Herr Mueller's 2 fierce dogs lay on the front doorsteps with their muzzles on their paws. At every movement, they rolled their eyes without moving their heads. It's Satan's workshop, someone muttered. The spectators muttered in agreement. The front door opened. A smooth-faced young man stumbled out, followed by a stout man in a fur-lined cloak. Ulrich clutched Hans' arms. That's my uncle, and that's the man I talked to this morning. Old man Mueller's gray hair and beard bounced with anger. He shook his fist at his unwelcome guest. I'll pay my loan when it is due and not a day before. Every time you come meddling and spying puts me behind in my work just that much. I don't care what Herr Gutenberg is doing or what the men in Harlem are doing, whether I'm ahead of them or behind them. Just leave me alone until the process is completed. Herr Mueller flung a brown bundle after the men. And take your belongings with you. Ulrich clutched Hans' arms again. That's my bundle. The stout man and Ulrich's uncle hurried away without a glance toward the bundle or spectators. Herr Mueller unchained his dogs, bolted the door, and stalked off toward town. When everyone had gone, Ulrich undid the knotted brown cloth. This is my shirt, my books. But what's this? He held up a leather pouch. Isn't it yours? Marguerite asked. No, I never saw it before. Open it. Ulrich opened the pouch. A handful of slender sticks fell out. Marguerite held up a stick and ran a finger over the metal tip. What could this be? Hans examined a handful. The tiny metal grooves looked somehow familiar, like letters of another language. Hans remembered something. When the monks at the monastery made wood blocks, they had to carve the letters backwards so that they would print correctly when inked and pressed down, face down. With growing excitement, Hans traced one of the metal grooves again. It was an E molded in reverse. A glance at the other sticks showed him all the letters had been reversed too. All at once, Hans understood there were the missing types. These were the missing types. They had been found in the mysterious bundle, Ulrich's bundle. I didn't take them, Ulrich was saying. Ulrich's astonishment sounded genuine, but an icy finger of doubt raced along Hans's spine. Was his new friend Ulrich Zell a thief? Okay, guys, so that was chapter 1. And like I explained in class, you basically just, in a notebook that you have, write down a narration of what I just read to you. And on Tuesday, somebody will share their narration with us, and we'll go over that. Okay? All right, guys, I'll see you guys Tuesday. Blessings.